Well, good morning and welcome back to our final fabulous segment here on CityLine. With me, I have an organization that is so outstanding. It is called Palmer Scholars, and they are not new to us here at CityLine. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Jonathan Jackson. You are the Executive Director of Palmer Scholars. Welcome. Good to have you here. And you brought with you Mr. Davon White. You are a Palmer Scholar Alumnus. I love that. I cannot wait to hear this story because it's going to be good.
Absolutely.
So, Jonathan, let's talk about the mission of Palmer Scholars is to support the underserved Pierce County students to overcome financial, cultural, and social barriers in pursuit of higher education. Yes. Tell us how you live out that mission and what experience that you're providing for these scholars.
Yeah, so we select students as juniors in high school. Previously we picked them as seniors, but we transitioned to picking them earlier so we'd have that additional time to train them longer, get to know them better before we match them with their mentor. And so that's a lot of what we do. We are looked at as a scholarship organization, but in my eyes, we are a student-centered college completion organization. And one of the things that we do is provide funding. But I think what's even bigger than that, as I mentioned, is the training. The year and a half of training students get before they go off to school, the mentor we match them with in their senior year of high school that follows them all the way through college graduation.
Wow.
And the ongoing support from our staff, board members, and 240 plus volunteers that contribute to our program over the course of the year. It's a great program.
Where were you when I was in that phase of my life? I mean, my goodness, everybody needs that.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't need a mentor for that time in their life when it's difficult?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a very scary time. You've been in your role, Jonathan, for about 5 months now.
Yes.
As Executive Director. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But you've been involved with Palmer Scholars for a number of years. Yeah. What's kept you involved, and then why did you decide to take on the Executive Director role?
Yeah, what's kept me involved with Palmer Scholars is the family-oriented nature of the program. Palmer Scholars recognizes that it's not enough to just send a check and then hopefully in 4 years that student will have graduated. We recognize that it's important to serve that student before they go off to school, while they're there, and to welcome them back into an environment where we can help them get connected with career opportunities and help them get to that next level in life. What I love about Palmer Scholars is just the way that we go about doing our work. And so I used to be the program director back when it was just Sally and I, and we had an 8-hour-a-week finance assistant. We've come a long way since then. I've got a full team of very talented individuals that are very passionate about the work that we're doing. And I stepped back in as the executive director. Unfortunately, the circumstances were a little bit grim. Our previous ED had to step down to focus on her health. But I had been on the board and a mentor ever since I left Palmer Scholars when I was here the first time. And so I was more than happy to throw my name in the hat when the ED position was posted. And here I am after the board selected me. So I was on the board up till October, and then the very next meeting I was in the seat as the ED presenting to the board.
I love that. I love that. So, Davon, you joined Palmer Scholars as a high school senior and graduated with your degree from the University of Washington last spring. Yes. What have you been up to?
I would say, so now I'm back in the Tacoma community. I was born and raised, and now I'm just finding opportunities to give back to the youth who are trailblazing right behind me, and I've had the opportunity to work in a position at Palmer Scholars to be able to give back to high school seniors who are planning on applying to colleges and everything. So, just really trying to find ways to give back.
I love that. So let's talk about how Palmer Scholars helped you prepare with that transition to college, and then how they supported you through your degree program.
Mm-hmm. So I would say as a first-generation college student, really just setting the tone and example for my family, but also a lot of the other kids around me who didn't go off to four-year universities. And so I would say Palmer's really helped me with understanding that, one, like you need to know when to ask for help. You need to know when people are holding you accountable, but also understand that it's out of the love and the goal of seeing you get to the finish line, really, and respecting that, understanding that people will have your best interest in mind. And so I would say I got a lot of that support from Palmer Scholars, understanding that whenever people were applying that pressure to me, it wasn't that they were trying to be critical, but get me to the finish line and get me across the stage to graduate. So I appreciate it, much appreciated.
I love what you had to say in the sense that when you just now, you just said, they told me what was expected of me.
Right.
And I think that's huge. I mean, because I think that's a sign of a close mentor and a mentee of I'm loving you to death here. This is how I need to help you with this, because the program has changed a bit since you've been selected. Students are now chosen as juniors, and the college readiness it's robust, and there's a deeper commitment, isn't there, to the mentoring program. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the program now versus when you joined?
I would say for sure, like as Mr. Jackson just said, like when I came in, it was a little bit earlier in that transition process from him, and Sally kind of taking the reins and really holding the ship afloat. And so I would say I was kind of more towards that beginning process of like, these are the seeds that we're planting, but they're not quite sprouted yet. So to see that those seeds are sprouting and like the fruit that's being produced is really abundant. I'm really excited. I'm glad that now that I'm done, or not done, but now that I've graduated from the program and I'm able to be on the other side and give back to those same scholars who were just in my position just 3-4 years ago, like it's really great to see a lot of Jonathan's planning come to fruition, and it's just inspiring, really, like with all the growth that's coming to Tacoma. Like Palmer's is most definitely going to be a big staple in the community that people are going to remember. So
I love that. How are you giving back to Palmer Scholars now?
I would say a lot of it is through college prep work. So helping students mostly with personal statement writing, essay writing, and just going through the motions of applying for colleges has been my biggest way of giving back. Also just kind of being like an informal mentor as well, just letting students know that when like I'm here, I'm introducing myself to them and giving them my contact information and letting them know that I'm available. Any questions that you have about college, about getting there, about finishing, or anything in between, just being of service.
Oh, I love
and
that.
Accessible.
Service above self. You are the example of that.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. Thank you. Jonathan, we have a stand up and cheer luncheon coming up April 23rd at the Hotel Murano. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so this year's luncheon is going to be incredible. We have a number of people who have stepped forward to be table captains. That room is going to be packed. It's not a bad problem to have, but I'm actually anticipating needing to close off registration and create a wait list. Chris Reichdahl, who's our state superintendent of public instruction, is going to be our keynote. And we got together earlier this week, and I know that he's going to deliver some excellent remarks to really move the people in attendance to really understand the importance of our program. But it is a fundraiser, and so it's a huge chunk of our budget, and we are there to raise funds for these students. We have a number of sponsors that have stepped forward to cover the cost of the event. So every dollar raised day of is going to go to funding scholarships, the training, recruiting and training mentors. It's a wonderful event. One other thing that I would say is that unfortunately earlier this year, our founder's daughter, Peggy Palmer, passed away. And she was very, very involved in the program. And so we will be paying tribute to her during the event with the video, and we're also announcing kind of a special way that we'll be recognizing her legacy moving forward. So just would encourage people to please come out, and if you haven't been to an event before, it's wonderful. We have students at the center, and it's all for the students.
I love that. And the Palmer Scholars, they're celebrating 35 years of service to this community. That is so impressive. What do you see in years to come?
I see a lot of growth. We just wrapped up a strategic planning process to get us through to 2022. There's a lot of kind of changes, but a lot of the changes are really about going deeper. We've done some really great work in the past 35 years, but how can we make sure that we have sufficient feedback loops in place for students, mentors, other folks that are involved with the program, so that we can be very intentional about a continuous improvement? We do great work, but we can always do better. And I think one of the really good things that I want to point out is that we're being very intentional about engaging the families of our scholars. We recognize that our students don't just exist in a vacuum. They have needs beyond themselves, and a lot of them are contributing to their household income, and that household income is still in a position where they qualify as low income, meaning their parents could potentially use some assistance too. And so if we can work with partners out in the community to connect them with workforce opportunities, we're wanting to do that as well. But we're also taking a look at just broadening taking a more intentional approach to career exploration and letting students know that there's multiple pathways to getting to the ultimate outcome that they're seeking.
Impressive. All right. So we are April 24th at the Hotel Murano.
April 23rd.
23rd, excuse me, at the Hotel Murano, and it is going to sell out. So
Yes.
so buy that ticket and get there.
Yeah.
Thank you, both of you, for what you do for our community, for our youth. I can't say thank you enough, because there is just nothing that we can give to our youth more than education and leadership, and the two of you are such beautiful examples of that. So thank you for
Appreciate
being
it.
here today.
Glad to be
and
here.
Good luck with that breakfast.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps up another great segment of CityLine. It is always a pleasure and a privilege to be in your home. We've given you a lot of great things to think about in this past hour, so go out there, be a part of the process, and above all, pay it forward. And when you come back, as always, we'll be waiting for you right here at CityLine. Take care.